everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Dude Poll. It is week 12, y'all. Getting pretty close to the end of the year, so why don't we just dive right on ahead to the actual poll over there. You can see there's a lot of G5 teams at the bottom. And one thing, before I get into all the shenanigans stuff of doing all that, doing the whole poll, I just want to talk about the fact that a bunch of my top teams are just not here anymore. My original top 5 included Clemson, LSU, Texas, Penn State, and Ohio State. Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country. The next best team, I would say, probably Texas. Not even on the list. LSU, not even on the list. Clemson and Penn State, very bad seasons here. It is a shocker to me that those big names that we saw in the beginning are honestly just big paper tigers. There's not a whole lot of bark behind their bite, you know. Anyway, let's go back to the Dude Poll. Pull it up one more time, and we look at it. Yeah, you see a lot of green. A lot of green has made their way into the poll, especially at the bottom there. You see 22, 23, 24. That's just a big coincidence. We can continue to see some of the bigger teams to move back on their way up. Got pretty close to the AP poll, just coincidentally. It's been kind of surprising. Anyway, let's get into this thing, shall we? Let's start with your number 3 team in the country. He's got the Texas A&M Aggies, and it was just an awful game against South Carolina. South Carolina is an awful team. There's no way that you should be in a football game with us. We are a 3-7 team. Maybe if we were in a different conference like the ACC, maybe we could go bowling. But I think it's quite disgraceful for our number 1 team in the country, newly made, to just fall on their face just like that against South Carolina. It is disgusting. I will say that again. Disgusting for the number 1 team in the country to do that. Just fix yourself up. I really like what I saw in the second half, actually, the way they were able to come back and manage the adversity. So if A&M can play like that through the rest of the year, maybe they got a chance. But right now, I don't know if they look so hot. Georgia's your next team, being the number 6 team in the country, moving up 2 spots because of their nice win over Texas, 35-10. Pretty much controlled that whole game from what I saw. It's been a great time for them this year, which is a lot different than I would have thought. I mean, the beginning of the year did not look so hot for Georgia. It looks like, just they were an inconsistent team, and to the point where Georgia Tech, I had them winning against Georgia because of just how inconsistent they were. Now, that's a really good football game, and I can't really tell you one way or another when Georgia or Georgia Tech is going to win that game. So, congrats to Georgia on one of the greatest turnarounds in football this year. And I'm not even talking about year to year. This is just within the year itself. Just a great job being able to right the ship for an awesome year, potentially. Number 8, we got Oklahoma, and they had a nice win against Alabama. Alabama was like the 4th team in the country, so I had to reward them quite a bit for that win. Oklahoma starting to sneak up to the point where I think they're pretty safe in the playoff discussion with this almost impossible schedule. It felt like in the beginning of the year with teams like LSU just kind of falling off. It's a lot different. I thought this was a trap game for Alabama. I thought Alabama was going to kill Oklahoma because of the last year stuff, but apparently not, because Oklahoma's offense and defense held serve like they had to. It's quite the impressive feat to do that to a team that was my number 14, so I decided to move Oklahoma up, like I said. They're locked in, and it's great for them at this time. We are easily looking at playoffs here, maybe SEC championship game. I have not gone in depth on the whole thing. I just know that they're definitely up there, along with A&M, of course. But Oklahoma, continue to do the good things that you are. Maybe we could be looking at an SEC title run. Now that we just got the winner out the way, I guess let's just go to the loser now. Alabama, number 12. It was just what happened? I mean, you had such a bright future. You were easily on a crash course with Texas A&M for this SEC title game. Now, not so much. And then let's just ignore all that really quickly. The Iron Bowl is looking to become another humongous game. Because without, looking at Auburn's record, which isn't that good, I'll tell you that right now. Auburn's a pretty good team. I'm going to be honest. That Iron Bowl is going to be a huge game now. They better win that. Otherwise, the season's basically over, which it isn't now. There's still some saving grace here. Just Alabama's going to have to figure out what it looks like to go ahead and, fix themselves in some senses. It's a good game they played against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a good team, too. It's not like they lost to Vanderbilt last year. Oklahoma's a good team. And I feel like Alabama needs to reposition themselves and think about everything. Make sure they have their heads under themselves. Number 13, we got Georgia Tech, and y'all have me worried. The turnaround from what they did in the beginning of the year, how dominant they looked, to being very close against Wake Forest, to very close against Boston College, a team that's probably going to have double-digit losses. It is, oh my goodness, it's a mess for Georgia Tech. They're barely in this driver's seat. Pull up the rankings one more time, you see that they're legitimately one position ahead of Miami, who's lost twice now. Georgia Tech's going to have to fix their mindset on stuff, apparently, because Haynes King's starting to get a little iffy. That is not acceptable at all. Georgia Tech is a great football team. End of sentence. Next sentence. But they have some problems. They have to solve these problems if they want any chance of winning this Georgia game, which is a huge game when it comes to the playoff discussion. Because if they win that, I think they're in no matter what, to be honest. And just the way that they've fallen, I don't know if that's in picture anymore. I said earlier. Alright, you might need a parachute for this fall, because we dropped all the way down from 13 to 23. I think everything in there was kind of self-explanatory. Just a lot of shuffling, because some teams won, some teams didn't play, a lot of good momentum, all that stuff. 23 is where we find some of the actual stuff. USF, it was just, oh my gosh, they lost to Navy. Navy's not that good of a team, I'll tell you that right now. I was staunchly overestimating them at the beginning of the year. Sure, they're an honorable mention team, but are they really going to have that big opportunity like the playoffs like I thought? No. USF has looked great at the beginning of the year. First 3 games looked like a team that would easily have this G5 representation. Not so much anymore. They've lost a lot of close games as of recent, and this is one of them. Their playoff hopes are done. The best they can hope for is maybe making the American title game. Really, it's just like a 9-3 or a good bowl game. It's what they really want, because it was just a disappointing end of the year. They started off so strong, like I said earlier, and the way they've fallen on their face is kind of disappointing for people like Alice Golish, who wanted a good job opportunity. I don't know if that so much is open anymore. That might be the reason, actually, because he's looking for other jobs. Anyway, USF, sorry for losing. Get better next time. Number 24, which I find a team that I would never have thought in the beginning of the year would be in the place they are now. Hawaii. The way that this head coach and this whole program has turned themselves around. Apparently that new stadium was what they needed. Because now they're 6 and, they have 2 losses or something like that. They're just outside this Mountain West title conversation. But I have them here. They stabbed SDSU. It was not even close. Hawaii looks like a very good program at this very moment, which is a shocking thing to say. I will rehash that. They're a little untrustworthy. Yes, I saw that Arizona game. Arizona's in honorable mentions. I'll give you that spoiler. They're starting to become a good program. Hawaii is still in this discussion for the playoffs. Which, whoa, let's just get that out of the way. Why? I don't know. But if the Mountain West champion is like them, and they win in such an extreme fashion, and James Madison loses, and the American ends up with East Carolina or somebody like that as your champion, I don't know if there are many arguments to say that Hawaii isn't better than them. If you have a Southern Miss Sunbelt champion, and then, Conference USA and the MAC do their thing, which is absolutely not a whole lot that's great, the Mountain West just got planted a playoff spot. That's almost so obnoxiously unlikely that I should stop talking about it. But Hawaii, great job. Keep up the good work, man. And finally, you have another one of those confusing teams, Virginia. Your number 25 team in the country. And at this rate, they are on pace to make the ACC title game with Georgia Tech. I might as well start referring to that as the choke bowl, because both of these teams feel like they're choking on something and they have not actively, laid the egg that they need to. It is quite the feat for both of these teams to get where they are. The smart kids have returned, y'all. Anyway, just a great job for Virginia on the year. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. Let me be honest. Just the way that they've been playing, one loss basically takes them out of everything that they had. So it's going to be a lot to ask of them to make the playoffs, but there's definitely still an argument. But I don't think that's the main focus. I think the main focus for them for this year was getting out of the 4-8 endless cycle they seem to be in for the longest time. It's been kind of sad for Tony Elliott to have to go through that in such a bad manner. No, not him being bad, but what happened circumstantially is bad. Let's get on to your auto matches, which are definitely more necessary. And this is where I realize there's a whole new roster, it seems like every week. Because we have teams like Texas, who were in there last week, who, they're doing okay, or just starting to come on a little bit, but they need to wait a little bit. And Louisville, who had kind of that sad loss a few weeks ago. And you have teams like that. But let's also look in. You got Houston in there, who's still, doing their thing. They're still a very good team. They just getting inconsistent with their wins and losses, and that stinks for them. But you have, Arizona in here, who I looked, have some great wins, killed Colorado, killed Hawaii. Hawaii's in the poll. They're 8-2. I feel like it's fairly fair to have Arizona and honorable mentions, which is a great place from where they were last year. Pretty big difference between the two of them. You got Arizona State back in here, who's just been the most on and off again team in football, period, I dare say. It's hard to wrap around your mind, this program, because it's just so inconsistent at times. SMU's here. SMU's been kind of just there, They're getting better. They look like they could be a good team. Nice win against Miami. I'll say that again. You got Wake, and Wake, they're playing really good. Almost beat some pretty good teams. Almost beat SMU. Almost beat Georgia Tech. Almost beat Miami, I'm pretty sure. Just a lot of good close games for Wake Forest. And I think Robbie Ashford's been a great player for this Demon Deacon program. Let's go on to Iowa, where it's just one of those, they're a good team. Just hadn't had the wins that they needed. Nebraska, similar story. Good program, necessarily not what they wanted. I get that. Washington, there as always. I might just get rid of them for the last time. They've been a very, team. And it's just been record that keeps them in, UConn continuing to look like a pretty good team. Killed Air Force. I've been debating on putting UConn in the rankings. Y'all, what happened? Was this a dream? What's going on? A lot of crazy teams like that, like Navy. Navy's back at it. Just crazy lot of teams that we have here. And I believe that's all your honorable mentions. I believe that's the end of the video, which stinks. We just got this much time left, it feels like, in this football season. So, whether I see you out and about in the world or in the next YouTube video, y'all, stay safe, happy, and healthy. God bless.